Religious imagery in art has been common all throughout history, making religious symbols, stories, and people the focus of paintings, sculptures, and engravings. When it comes to religious artwork centered around Christianity, many paintings revolved around an individual who was titled Madonna in these artworks. The word Madonna itself means My Lady in French and began to be used frequently in art by the 14th and 15th century. Madonna referred to the Virgin Mary, who according to the Bible was a righteous figure who was selected to give birth to a baby Jesus. Since she was a mother to the most important figure in the Bible, she became incredibly important as well. According to the article by Freeman's Auctions, depictions of the Virgin Mary can be traced back as early as the 2nd century, with its depictions saying a lot about the time period as well as culture. Looking specifically at Western art, our first example begins with Madonna and Child by Duccio in the year 1300, which was made during the late medieval/early Renaissance period. Duccio himself was an Italian artist from the Middle Ages, and most of his paintings were commissioned for religious buildings or the government, simply because during this time art was heavily influenced by early Christian church and of religious nature. This tempera and gold on panel painting has a deep gold background, which creates more emphasis on the Virgin Mary, who stands in a dark blue and gold garment complete with the veil while holding baby Jesus. Baby Jesus is shown in an orange and brown garment while reaching up for his mother's veil while she gazes deep into his eyes. The child is not depicted in a realistic human baby way, but rather is more distorted with adult proportions, just smaller, and this was because during this time, both the Madonna but especially baby Jesus were looked at as divine embodiments as opposed to just humans. There is a small barrier in the bottom of the painting which creates a more three-dimensional perspective, but also serves the purpose of creating a barrier to what would be the viewer, demonstrating a separation of the divine and the rest of the world. This is a small, intimate piece of art, being only a couple inches tall, and it is in its original frame, which can be seen with small burn marks from a candle on the bottom of the piece, which shows that it was a devotional piece. It was there to honor Jesus and his divine power. Looking at this painting depicting the Madonna and Child, we may think it is not the most realistic, but compared to many of the other medieval artworks, it was taking steps towards humanizing this relationship between mother and child depicted. This allows us to move on to our next painting, titled Madonna on the Rocks by Leonardo da Vinci, completed in 1486 during the Italian Renaissance and was oil on panel. Leonardo da Vinci himself was one of the most recognized artists from the High Renaissance, and his art ranged from religious to secular as well. In this painting, there is a natural landscape with rocks all around. Madonna is seated on the floor along with baby Jesus. Seated with them is John the Baptist as a baby who holds his hands in adoration towards Jesus. Sat next to them is also an angel. The atmosphere of this painting is dark, something Da Vinci did in some of his painting to allow the effect to look as though the individuals depicted are emerging from the darkness. Mary herself is seated high above the other individuals in the painting, showing the divine power she was given. However, there's also a lot of humility shown in this painting as well. In the years before, Madonna had been shown and depicted on different thrones and things like that to show that she was a heavenly body and the spiritual connection she had to Jesus. However, in this painting, we see that Madonna was depicted sitting on the floor, surrounded by nature, and this kind of shows how the Renaissance began to put an emphasis on the importance of nature and the beauty of it for the first time. Other aspects to know on how the Madonna is depicted is that she is shown in a more humanistic nature. She is shown to be gracefully looking away, with her movements being natural and not forced as compared to many of the other paintings where she was standing very rigid and looking at the viewer. However, in this one, she is seen moving and touching the children that she is with. This same concept is applied to baby Jesus, seeing as he is depicted in a more realistic human way as a normal human baby with chubbiness and things like that and normal body proportions. However, there is still a sort of godly spiritual aspect to him, seeing as he has his fingers outwards towards John the Baptist as though to bless him. On to comparing these two paintings. These two paintings are just two of the many depictions of Madonna and Child. However, I chose them because they say a lot about the time period and the changes that were occurring that led to the influences of the painting. Looking at this depiction of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus, we see simplicity in the detail, but more focus on the power and godly presence of these individuals. They weren't meant to be viewed as ordinary people, but rather to be adored and worshipped. Comparing that to this image of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus, we see a shift into more of a storytelling element added to this image. We see them have more humanistic characteristics and have more of a relationship given to baby Jesus and his mother, as well as his other characters that are added, which kind of allow to show this shift that happened, this dramatic change that happened from medieval times into the Renaissance. Another important detail to note is that this scenario presented by Leonardo da Vinci is more of a hypothetical scenario as opposed to something depicted from the Bible. And it shows kind of this shift towards secular thought. Although there was still strong influence from religion being clearly shown, there was more naturalism thought, as well as grace being a direct example of how the Renaissance was affecting Italy. The point of this comparison is to show that these pieces of art are incredibly important and beautiful, depicting a mother and child bond as well as a connection to the divine. The first one is small and intimate, being a reminder of the powerful God they devote their lives to, and the second one provoking thought as to the importance of humanism and nature, seeing as new thinking allowed these individuals to be depicted as human and embracing the changes that were occurring. The Renaissance forever changed art and Italy, this rebirth that can be seen occurring through these paintings.